Friends, I'm Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day on this terrific Tuesday. And you can have a terrific Tuesday too if you trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. And there's no better day than a day that is directed by Him. So join me right now in our final words on 1 Corinthians chapter 16. We'll probably finish this up in a couple of days, but we're down in verse 10. Paul's been giving his final words like he always does in his letters, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of things. And so as we pick up in verse 10, he says, "And if Timothy comes, see that he may be with you without fear, for he does the work of the Lord, as I also do. Therefore, let no one despise him, but send him on his journey in peace, that he may come to me, for I am waiting for him with the brethren." Now, Timothy was his son in the faith. If you read his letter to Timothy, you see that Paul had a great deal to do with drawing him into the ministry. His mother and grandmother shared the gospel with him, taught him the foundational truths, and Paul came alongside and he began to nurture him and grow him up. And Timothy became his trusted partner. And many times Timothy would travel to him and from him to do what he needed to do. And so apparently Timothy's away from Paul. He's headed back towards Paul and probably would come through Corinth when he did. And Paul says, look, do not cause Timothy to be afraid. He's a young man, and we find that later when in other places when Paul says, "Let no man despise your youth." When he tells Timothy that, he's a young man, in probably not real bold, a little bit timid, it seems, from everything that we can gather from reading between the lines. And Corinth was not an easy church. Corinth was not an easy city. Corinth was not a place that it would be easy to go to and have a successful ministry. Obviously, Paul has dealt for 16 chapters with a lot of the issues going on at Corinth, and apparently there were some hard-hearted, hard-headed, strong-willed people there that refused to listen, refused to follow the teachings that they were given. So you let a young guy come in who is a little bit timid to begin with, and you almost are afraid that they're going to eat him alive, kind of thing. And Paul says, "Do not make him fear. Do not cause him to be afraid, because he also does the work of the Lord, just like I do." Timothy is not a called apostle, but he is a minister of the gospel. And he comes in and he's very good at what he does, but it's a difficult place to serve. I've been in those difficult places. Sometimes it's because people are just stubborn and sinful. Sometimes it's just because people are set in their ways. And either way, it can be difficult. Sometimes it's because certain people have always been in charge, and they don't think that the pastor should have any authority whatsoever. I can remember one church early on in my ministry where I served, where I was actually told that I was not really a member of the church because I wasn't born and raised in the community. I mean, that's pretty tough. Well, for Timothy, Paul says, let him come, let him do the work, and send him on his journey in peace. Let him stay there, take care of him, and help him to get on his journey so that he can get to Paul and help him in his ministry. Because Paul's at that point where he needs the help of those around him. Now, he goes on. Now, concerning our brother Apollos, I strongly urged him to come to you with the brethren, but he was quite unwilling to come at this time. However, he will come when he has a convenient time. Now, get this. Remember back at the very beginning of our letter to Corinth, the argument was that some preferred Paul, some preferred Apollos. They had made their choices. They'd picked their favorites. They really liked the way that Apollos preached because he was a gifted orator from all that we know. And he was a good minister as well. But for some reason, Apollos is not willing to go back to Corinth. Could it be that he knows how hard of a ministry that is? Um, could it be that God just didn't want him to go there and Apollos knew that? Either way, Apollos was unwilling to go, but he says he will come when there's a convenient time, when things are right, when he has the opportunity. And I think that's important that we listen to the Father to know when the right time is. I really believe that God brought me to First Baptist Church Dadeville at just the right time. It's just the right fit. And God is blessing the ministry here, not because of me, but because his people are faithful and willing servants. So think about that today. It's all in God's timing. And if we trust in him with all of our heart, lean not in our own understanding, in all our ways acknowledge him, he always directs our paths. Be blessed. I'll see you back here tomorrow.